Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the George River Council. I declare the meeting open at 7:01 p.m. I would like to acknowledge the Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of all lands, waters, and sky in the Georges River area. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who live, work, and meet on these lands. Please be upstanding for the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, all beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains that let us sing, advance Australia fair. Beneath the radiance of the cross, we'll toil with hearts and hands to make this commonwealth of ours renowned of all the lands. For those who've come across the seas, we've boundless plains to share. With courage let us all combine to advance Australia fair. In joyful strains that let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Please remain standing for the opening prayer, which tonight will be held by Pastor A1 Suleiman from the Revival Life Centre.
Awesome. If you feel comfortable, bow your heads and close your eyes, and I'll pray. So, dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for each member of the council that meets here tonight to go over matters that impact our community. I ask for you to bless them and their families as they sacrifice for the greater good, not looking for their own self-interest, but doing what you've put on their hearts, to love people as you have loved us. This evening, I ask for the spirit of wisdom and revelation that would rest upon in this place, that your will be done as it is in heaven, let it be done here. We pray for our community, that peace and justice would be the banner. I also pray for our future generations, for them to rise up and learn from the example that is set in this room. We pray for protection, peace, favor, and wisdom in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. I have no apologies for tonight's meeting, and there were no requests to attend via audio-visual link. Staff and public are reminded this meeting is being recorded for minute-taking purposes and is also being webcast on Council's website. This recording will be made available on Council's website. The order of business is as shown in the agenda. Council's Code of Meeting Practice prohibits the electronic recording of meetings without the express permission of Council. I have a number of disclosures of interest, which I will read out. First disclosure is from Councillor Marnie, who declared a non-significant non-pecuniary interest in CCL 053-24 on item ASS 025-24, report of the Assets and Infrastructure Committee meeting. For the reason that he is acquainted with one of the non-voting committee members, as he was a former work colleague, I will remain in the meeting and take part in consideration and voting on this item. There is another declaration of interest from Councillor Marnie, non-significant non-pecuniary interest in item NM 074-24, Oatley Rugby Union, for hosting the New South Wales Junior Rugby Union Under-10s Development Carnival, for the reason that he is acquainted with one of the non-voting committee members and he is a member of Oatley RSL. I'll remain in the meeting and take part in consideration and voting on this item. A declaration from Councillor Stratokopoulos, who disclosed a significant non-pecuniary interest in COM 027-24 Greek Orthodox Patriarchal Visit to Kogarah event grant for the reason that he serves on the committee of the Greek Orthodox Parish of Kogarah. Councillor Stratokopoulos will leave the meeting and not participate in consideration and voting on this item. And the last declaration from Councillor Katras disclosed a significant non-pecuniary interest in COM 027-24 Greek Orthodox Patriarchal Visit to Kogarah event grant for the reason that he is involved in the Greek Orthodox Church and provides architectural advice. Councillor Katras will leave the meeting and not participate in consideration and voting on this item. Tonight, there are two speakers registered, two public speakers registered for tonight's meeting. I will remind the speakers that speakers have a 3-minute time limit. The first round that you hear indicates that you have 1 minute remaining. And at the second sound, if you can please conclude your comments. The first speaker tonight is Maria Nias, speaking on item NM 075-24, Enhancing Parking Management in Hillcrest Avenue, Hurstville. Maria? And just turn the mic on with that button on the right.
Hi everyone, thank you. We're my neighbours and my husband here today. We're representing. We've got a problem with our parking on Hillcrest Avenue, as it's not a timed parking allotment there. We've got problems with people parking over our driveways because people are parking in a 2-car spot. They're parking in the middle, then they're obviously coming either in front or behind us to block our driveways. In the mornings, we have on our side, heading up towards Wanyora Road, is no parking from 6:30 a.m. till 9:30 a.m. We have early bird parkers that like to park there from 9 a.m. sometimes to secure spots, as a lot of people work up in the area there, which means my job in the morning is to go out and secure 2 spots for my family who comes home at 3:30 in the afternoon, as 3:30 across the road becomes a no parking. So that's the reason why we're asking council if they can have a look at the parking around there. We've asked for them to provide us with line marking, change Hillcrest Avenue, even if it's just the top part of Hillcrest between Wanyora and Alma, to obviously timed parking, and change from maybe a no parking in the morning to a clearway for both sides, as we are in a prime position to the trains and to the shops. I also have a neighbour who is he's an ICU nurse who's in the cardiac. He's always concerned about having the driveway blocked when he's on call, and that's quite regularly. So all the neighbours are out. We're looking out for each other, trying to keep driveways clear, keep everything like nice and easy for us to enter our properties. I'm also aware that the ranger is around mostly in the afternoon, who wanders down through Hillcrest Avenue. But the problem is our morning and the peak of that, when the morning traffic goes through from Oatley straight up to Hurstville. If there's a car parked on the top of Hillcrest Avenue, it's just a shamble up in that area. So we'd like council to have a look for us and see what we can come up with, because it is frustrating and sometimes it does cause a hostile environment with the parkers down there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Adrian Polhill, speaking on CCL 055-24 ENV 030-24 0 litre to Georges River. Progress updated 2024 Environment and Planning Committee, 12th of August 2024. Thank you, Adrian.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Prevention is better than cure, right? I'm specifically speaking about the 0 litre report and how things can perhaps be done in a better way. There's lots of information in the report. It's very detailed, and I'm sure that the council staff have actually got much more information than have actually presented. But can you imagine 350 tonnes of refuse being extracted from the gross pollutant traps every year, year on year. However, there doesn't seem to be any improvement in this situation in the stats that were provided. So that's why I've mentioned prevention really is better than cure. Whatever we're doing here, whatever the council's doing here, is just not good enough. And some other statistics coming from the report was that there's more than 3.5 tonnes being removed, rubbish being removed by the Riverkeeper group each year. In fact, it rose to more than 6 tonnes one year. Again, no significant improvement in what's actually being pulled out of the river. So again, what we're doing can be improved, whether it's through education or actually doing further work upstream to actually prevent these litter items actually entering our waterways. So, of course, any further improvements to gross pollutant traps would be much appreciated, particularly around the Hurstmoor Golf Course area, because there was significant problems still at the Dairy Creek gross pollutant trap, and further downstream towards the in the golf course area. Another area of concern is actually the lack of focus on soft plastics. As you know, Oatley Flora and Fauna members conduct regular stream mulch activities, and soft plastics is certainly one of the top items that they find. So perhaps the council could embark on a soft plastics free local government area rather than relying on state government regulations to be enforced. Soft plastics is really a major concern for us here. Another suggestion is that there's no mention there of any environmental audits. What I mean by that is that certainly there's a lot of pollution coming from the Peakhurst light industrial area. And I believe that several years ago, Sam, an environmental audit was planned, perhaps not finished. And there's no mention of that in this particular report. So again, prevention is better than cure. Let's find out where all the litter's coming from, where all the pollutants are coming from, and then take specific actions to improve our education campaigns. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrian. Okay. Councillors, we move on to confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. That is item CCL 052-24. Do I have a move? That was moved by Councillor Kanyarski, seconded by Councillor Stratokopoulos. Any discussion on this item, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is we have condolences, and I believe we have a condolence from Councillor Maud.
Thank you. I'm offering this condolence motion on passing of a lifelong local resident and terrific man, Kevin, who recently passed on the 27th, July 27th. Kevin Skelty passed away. Kevin was a teacher, an educator, archaeologist, enthusiast, and stage performer, known to hundreds in the area and beyond for the valued lessons he passed on to so many. He actually started his career at Broken Hill before becoming an industrial arts teacher at James Cook High in the early 80s. For the next 2 decades, he taught at Tempe High, Hurstville Boys High, and Endeavour High School. Throughout the 1970s, Kevin worked as a teacher at Sydney Teachers College, where he trained future teachers in workshop skills and management and technology. Kevin was born in 1935, was schooled at Ramsgate Public School and Cogger High. He married Wendy in 1964 after meeting her at the Illawarra Theatre Guild, Rockdale, where they both performed in a number of productions. They have lived in Blakehurst since 1967. Kevin always had a strong interest in Australian heritage and archaeology and served as the honorary secretary of the Australiana Society. He also ran an old wear shop in Beverly Hills for 16 years and was a familiar face to many people. In conclusion, let us acknowledge a fine local man who contributed so much to so many, who lived a full and fascinating life, Kevin Scalzi. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mort. Any other condolence motions, councillors? There being none, if we can please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. We now move on to committee reports. The first committee being the report of the Assets and Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 12th of August. Councillor Kaniarski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe that one of the councillors would like to speak on one of the items before I move. Actually, I'll move that.
Yep, you can move that, Councillor Kaniarski. Do I have a second to Councillor Jamieson? And any speakers on the motion? Councillor Jamieson.
Thank you. I would like to briefly discuss the Traffic Committee item TAC 05224, Mortdale area proposed parking changes. I would like to thank the staff for being so helpful in trying to find solutions for Mortdale. I know I've been a persistent thorn in their side and I'm really happy with the stage 1 solution. I understand that this is only the first part of the original motion in October 2023. As has been previously stated many times, there are issues with parking in Mortdale. Parking affects the businesses and it also affects the traffic flow as people tend to go round and round to try to find parking. I would also like to thank the staff that they are continuing to go above and beyond and are still looking for more solutions and more parking, which we will hopefully know about in the near future. I'm glad to see that Mortdale is not forgotten and that the council will continue to assist the Mortdale community with their concerns in regards to parking. And to be totally honest, I am quite excited to see the next round of parking recommendations for Mortdale. Thank you.
Any other speakers on the motion, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is the report of the Community and Culture Committee meeting held on the 12th of August 2024. It is now. Yeah. Yes. Oh, okay. Councillor Luke, floor is yours.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So that the Community and Culture Committee recommendations for item COM 026-24 to COM 031-24 with the assumption of COM 027-24 to be adopted by council.
I have that moved by Councillor Luke, seconded by Councillor Kaniarski. Any discussion on these items, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. I'll just wait for councillors to leave the chamber before we move on to the next item. So now we move on to item CCL 054-24 with item number COM 027-24. Councillor Luke.
Thank you. Then the Community and Culture Committee recommendation for item COM 027-24 be adopted by council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It's moved by Councillor Luke, seconded by Councillor Kaniarski. Any discussion on this item, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. They've travelled far in that minute. Next item on the agenda is CCL 055-24, report of the Environment and Planning Committee meeting held on the 12th of August 2024. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that CCL 055-24 report of the Environment and Planning Committee held on 12th of August be adopted by Council. Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Marnie, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bork. Councillors, any discussion on these items? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is the report of the Finance and Governance Committee meeting held on the 12th of August 2024, CCL 056-24. Councillor Jamieson.
I move the recommendations of the committee.
Moved by Councillor Jamieson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Borg. Councillors, any discussion on this? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Councillors, I'd like to move a procedural motion in accordance with clause 8.5 of the Code of Meeting Practice to move item CCL 063-24 forward to be dealt with at this time. And that is the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee and Internal Audit Annual Report to Council of 2023-24. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. So now we deal with CCL 063-24, the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee meeting to Council Annual Report, of 23-24. Councillor Jamieson.
I move the recommendation of the staff.
Moved by Councillor Jamieson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Borg. Councillors, any discussion on this? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is the Environment and Planning Deferred Report ENV 035-24, Draft Principal Certified Complaints Policy 2024. Outcome of Public Exhibition, which is item CCL 057-24. Councillor Marnie. I'll just give it to Councillor Marnie first.
I've got a question.
Fair enough. I'll just see what.
Yeah, sorry.
If you can just turn your mic off, please, Councillor Catras. Thank you. Councillor Marnie.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move CCL 057-24 deferred report ENV 035-24 draft principal certified complaints policy outcome of public exhibition. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I thought I heard some other number. Yeah, but it is CCL 057-24 that you're moving, and seconded by Councillor Jamieson. Councillor Catras, you had a question. I'll allow the question first, and then we'll get some speakers for.
This is a question to the director, Mr. Hill. I'm looking at page 92, where you talk about, or where the policy talks about the Building Commission. New South Wales does not have power to do the following. I brought this up in the last Environment and Planning Committee meeting, and it's been put there with just a minor amendment. But then I read in page 65, paragraph 26, the Building Commission, New South Wales, can issue stop work orders, prohibition orders, and building work rectification orders under the Building Practitioners Act 2020 and the Residential Apartment Buildings Compliance and Enforcement Powers Act 2020, which deal with serious defects on Class 2, 3 and 9C buildings and are outside the remit of local council, and therefore the scope of this policy. I'm just thinking, how is it that it's outside the remit? If they can deal with, I'm just saying, in paragraph 26, the Building Commission can deal with all that, and all that we do deal with at some stage in some way, and then that is not placed in the policy telling people that that they can deal with it. All we've got is that part which they can't deal. They can't deal with order building to stop work, act on complaints against property owners, declare a development certificate invalid, blah, blah, blah. But then in paragraph 26, the Commission can do stop work orders, prohibition orders, building work rectification, etc., etc. There
I might,
seems to be an issue here.
okay, I might refer that to legal counsel, Councillor Catras. It might be more of a legal question, so refer that to Mr. James Venn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To answer the question you've raised, Councillor Catras, the reason that the policy has only referred to the power of the Building Commission not having, sorry, I'll withdraw that. The reason the policy has referred to the Building Commission not having the power to issue stop work orders under the Environmental Planning Assessment Act is because the policy is proposed to deal with development, which is only dealt with by the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, whereas the Building Commissioner is exercising functions under the Building Development and Certifiers legislation, which deals with building defects, which is not necessarily a breach of development consents, as this policy is intended to deal with.
Wouldn't it be a good idea to clarify that in the policy and indicate in actual fact the Building Commissioner can do this under the, I mean, there are other areas where we actually refer to other roles, etc. But this is basically telling the community that the Building Commission, based on the policy wording, is a toothless tiger. I mean, what would be wrong in putting that paragraph in the policy to actually indicate to the community that where it says the Building Commissioner can't do, the Building Commission can't do this, and this, and what would be wrong in putting in explaining to the community, because this is a policy that's going to the community, paragraph 26, that the Building Commissioner can stop work orders and do that.
I see your point, Councillor Catras. I might refer that to the Director of Environment and Planning, but I believe that that Mr. Fans answered the question that you were asking initially. Now it's a follow-on from that, so I'll pass it on to Director of Environment and Planning, Mr. Joseph Hill. Thanks, James.
Thank you, Mayor, through you, Mayor and Councillors. As I understand, the premise is to explain more clearly to the community the respective roles, including in case the Building Commissioner. It's available to Council to delegate that to the General Manager and make an amendment to the policy on the basis of explaining things more clearly around roles. And I believe that can be achieved.
Well, thank you. On that basis, Mr. Mayor, I will move that become be added to the policy clause. Paragraph 26 is to be added to the policy on the basis of further clarification that we need to provide to the community.
Okay, so I might need some wording on that, Councillor Catras, if you're proposing an amendment to the original motion.
I propose that paragraph 26 of the report actually is incorporated after 2.3.4 or 2.3, after 2.3.4.
After 2.3.4,
where it basically says the Building Commission New South Wales does not have the power to do the following. It's just adding that paragraph.
The paragraph. Yeah. So the General Manager be provided delegation to make the necessary changes where paragraph 26 of the report be incorporated after clause 2.3.4 of the policy.
Yeah, I think that would be the approach. And if it's wrong, then someone can correct it then.
to amend the policy to incorporate paragraph 26
of the report.
of the report. I think you just need to add the word clause just before 2.3.4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe that that reads now fine.
That's fine.
That the general manager can make that amendment and change or incorporate that paragraph into the policy
We still
for
need
clarification to the community. So I will take speakers on this. I had the original mover, Councillor Marnie, and Councillor Jamison as the seconder. Do you wish to speak to this, Councillor Marnie? Or reserve your right? Oh, do you, sorry, yes, I have to put the amendment first. Do you accept the amendment being proposed by Councillor
I've got
Cummins?
a question on that, Mr Mayor, can I?
Yeah, sure.
Through you to the director. Just would like to check whether Councillor Cattles' amendment strengthens council's rights in this area.
I believe it's more of an of a clarification so that if any member of the community reads it, they get a complete understanding of what the scope is within the policy and what the scope is with the building commissioner or anyone else that looks after compliance. So it's more a clarification than it is about strengthening or weakening the document.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, I think it's acceptable.
Yep, you're accepted. Councillor Jamison? Yep, both accepted.
Thank you.
It now becomes the motion. Councillors, do you wish to speak to the motion? No? Councillor Jamison, sorry. Yep, you'd like to. I'll pass it over to the director.
So could you clarify your question?
I just wanted to check that you were okay with the amendment and you're comfortable with it.
Oh, through you, Mayor. Yes, absolutely comfortable. Yes.
Any speakers on this motion, councillors? Councillor Jamison.
Thank you. This is a huge and ambitious task to seek to be in the thick of improving our current state planning system. The community had an opportunity to be involved, and it was taken to the LGNSW conference, where it was also supported unanimously. I'm excited to see this policy being endorsed, and that Georges River Council will be taking this policy to the regional SSROC so that they can advocate on behalf of many councils to improve the CDC and private certifier system across the state. The hope is that we can improve the time it takes to get approvals without sacrificing quality and compliant buildings and the impacts on neighbouring properties. This works better for owners and neighbours, as we have heard from our constituents during the consultation process. I thank the staff for taking on this ambitious task and for continuing to promote it and take it further for the benefit of the community, not just Georges River area, but all other areas in New South Wales. Thank you for not giving up and your perseverance with this project.
Thank you, Councillor Jamison. Councillors, any further discussion on this item? No? Just to make it further clear that on that point B, I think you need to include after paragraph 26, paragraph 26 of the report or background, because it's in the report, yeah, of the report. Paragraph 26 of the report, incorporate after clause 2. Yeah, perfect. That directly reflects exactly what Councillor Cattles was looking for and what the mover and seconder are happy with. Councillors, any further discussion on this? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item on the agenda is CCL 058-24, report on outstanding council resolutions period up to and including 30th of June 2024. Councillor Jamieson.
I move the recommendation of the staff to receive and note.
Moved by Councillor Jamieson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Borg. Councillors, any discussion on this? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is CCL 059-24, review of Mayor and Councillors Expenses Facilities Policy 2024, minor amendments. Councillor Jamieson, I'll get to your question or just.
No, I'm seconding it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so moved by Councillor Jamieson. The floor is yours first.
I move the recommendation of the staff.
Moved by Councillor Jamieson, seconded by Councillor Catras. Any discussion on this, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is CCL 060-24, Code of Meeting Practice 2024, minor amendments. Councillor Jamieson.
I move the recommendations of the staff.
Moved by Councillor Jamieson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Borg. Any discussion on this, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is CCL 061-24, revised Georges River Council councillor and staff interaction policy. Councillor Jamieson.
I move that the council endorse the draft Georges River Council and staff interaction policy 2024 as attached.
Moved by Councillor Jamieson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Borg. Any discussion on this, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is CCL 062-24, unaudited general purpose financial statements for the year ending 30th of June 2024. Councillor Jamieson.
Seconded.
Moved by Councillor Jamieson, seconded by Councillor Catras. Councillors, any discussion on this?
I move the recommendation of the staff.
Moved by Councillor Jamieson, seconded by Councillor Catras. Any discussion on this, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. We now move on to notices of motion. The first notice of motion being NM 073-24, upgrade to streetscapes of Narwee shops. Councillor Smoothly. I'll get the seconder, don't worry. Okay, if you can turn your mics off first, councillors. Just turn all your mics off. Yep, Councillor Smoothly.
I reserve my right, Mr. Mayor.
So you move your motion. Reserving your right. Moved by Councillor Smoothly, seconded by Councillor Kanyarski. Councillor Kanyarski, do you wish to say anything to that? No. Any further discussion on this, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is NM 074-24. Congratulations to Oatley Rugby Union for hosting the New South Wales Junior Rugby Union Under-10s Development Carnival. Councillor Marnie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Sunday, 21st of July, Councillor Morton and I had the honour of attending the New South Wales Junior Rugby Union's Under-10 Development Carnival at Riverwood Park, hosted by Oatley Rugby League, a not-for-profit community-based organisation. The club arranged for 27 teams from across New South Wales to showcase the talents of locally future Waratahs and Wallabies over the weekend of 27th to 28th of July, playing over 80 games of representative rugby union on all Riverwood Park's 4 fields, with over 2,000 people attending, including players, officials and spectators. The event received positive feedback from all participating clubs and the New South Wales Junior Rugby Union. The carnival was the culmination of a huge effort by Oatley Rugby, which has a proud history, being founded in 1958, and with boys, girls and seniors teams, is the strongest village or non-shoot shield club in southern Sydney. Graduates of the club include Wallabies Bruce Battershaw, Gary Gainsford, Barry Stumbles, Rob Horn and Brandon Hayinga Amosa, as well as Fijian international Ben Volavola. Many other Super Rugby and NRL stars played for Oatley also, as did other athletes who had shot to fame in other sports. Amazingly, Oatley Rugby defied the COVID challenge during 2020 and actually grew its membership by 25%. It also has the fastest growing girls program in southern Sydney. The event was also a stimulus for local economy, with most of the catering and other services sourced from the area, with Club Rivers being a generous donor. Mr. Mayor, excuse me, but I do have an amendment to that motion as well, which I've got to raise beforehand.
That's all right, Councillor Marnie. So if you want to, as the mover, you're putting an amendment forward, and then I'll ask the seconder, Councillor Maud, if she accepts. Yeah. We'll just wait for it. Yeah.
And the amendment was to acknowledge the 80th anniversary of the Oatley Aristotle sub branch, which occurred on the 23rd of August, which is up on the screen.
Yep, the council congratulates the Oatley RSL sub branch on its 80-year milestone anniversary, which was founded on the 23rd of August 1944.
So include that, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure, that's been accepted by Councillor Maud. Councillor Maud, do you wish to say a few words?
I'd just like to say a couple of little words. We had a fantastic day. I think Councillor Peter Marnie's said everything that needs to be said in his speech here. But I have a bit of an association with the club ourselves. My father-in-law, Les Maud, was one of the founding fathers of this club, and it was a little local club for, brought up lots of kids through the junior ranks, and it's as you can see, they've gone through to become wallabies and whatnot in the sport. So thank you.
Councillors, any further discussion on the item? There being none, Councillor Kanyarski, go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, congratulations to all involved. However, I dispute your comment about rugby being the fastest women's growing sport. I believe it is actually football.
Okay. Councillors, any further discussion on this item? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is NM 075-24, enhancing parking management in Hillcrest Avenue, Hurstville. Deputy Mayor Borg.
I'll move the motion as is written.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Borg, seconded by Councillor Maud. Deputy Mayor Borg, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I recently had the pleasure of speaking to residents, Maria and Nastika, while handing out flyers at Hurstville Station, and thank you to both the ladies and husband coming on tonight to speak. They asked me a simple yet pressing question: what are you going to do to improve parking in Hurstville? And so it was not an easy question in such a busy and growing area like Hurstville, where parking, as we all know, is a constant challenge. But after chatting with Maria and Nafsika further, it became clear that their concern wasn't just about convenience, but it was a bit about the impact on their daily lives. So I want to thank Maria for coming along tonight and speaking in the public forum and shedding light on the real issues that the residents and your neighbours are experiencing at that top end of Hillcrest Avenue near Waniora Road. So as mentioned, they live at the top of Hillcrest Avenue near that intersection of Waniora Road. It's a stone's throw from Hurstville Station. So while nearby streets around Hillcrest Avenue, they fall under council's designated residential parking permit area. However, Hillcrest Avenue, for some reason, I'm not sure if it's an anomaly or it's been overlooked or there is some reason, I don't know, but it remains an exception. It's not included in the residential parking permit area. So on one side of the road, there's no timed parking restrictions at all that apply after 9:30 a.m. in the morning. And on the other, there's no parking restrictions that exist, that there are just no parking restrictions that exist between 3:30 and 6:30. So otherwise they can park all day long. There's no 2-hour or 4-hour parking. So essentially these parking spaces are prime real estate for those commuting via the station or working nearby in Hurstville. So as expected, people are taking advantage of this, and cars line up early to claim these all-day parking spots, with some even parking illegally before the restrictions lift at 9:30 a.m. So others park in ways, as we heard from the residents, that block driveways, causing disruption for residents who are just simply trying to access their homes. And some of their driveways are access to unit blocks. So it's not just affecting a single resident, but it's affecting all of the residents who live in that unit block. So this daily struggle is more than an inconvenience, it's creating stress. And as we heard from the speakers, it's even creating hostile encounters where they're approaching people who are parking out the front to try to inform them of the parking restrictions and getting treated very hostile when doing so. And drivers just simply refusing to move. So, you know, from my point of view, I'm not sure why Hillcrest Avenue is being left out of the residential parking permit area in the first place. This motion will call for an investigation to understand that reason and see whether there is merit for it to be included. But the exclusion of that has become a burden on residents, and it's clear that the current restrictions and enforcements are simply not working. So tonight with this motion, I'm asking council officers to fully investigate Hillcrest Avenue and the surrounding area and present the best possible solutions to the Traffic Advisory Committee. So we need a plan that addresses the parking issues effectively and ensures fair use of the space, and most importantly, brings relief to the residents. So councillors, I urge you to support this motion so we can move forward with a comprehensive solution that benefits both the residents and visitors alike. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Borg. Councillor Mort, would you like to speak to the motion? No? Any further discussion on this item, councillors? Councillor Kanyarski.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Deputy Mayor Borg. I have no problem with the intent of your motion. However, I do have a problem with the forum it's been brought to. We spoke about this at the previous council meeting, and the director confirmed that when things come through the wrong forum, it takes longer. So I believe actually it should have gone through traffic. So for that reason, I come to supporting this.
Thank you, Councillor Kanyarski. Any further discussion, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare it carried. Noted, Councillor Kanyarski, that you're voting against. Councillors, I'll move on to item NM 076-24, traffic matters in Peakhurst. Councillor Amber Haybar, the floor is yours.
I already anticipate your vote. Sorry, do we have
moved by Councillor Amber Haybar, seconded by Councillor Smurley. Floor is yours, Councillor Amber Haybar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This motion calls for council to investigate the pressing concerns raised by residents in Hearn Street, Barry Street, Anderson Road, Blackshaw, Oates, Zeller and Kendall Street in Peakhurst, which is a bunch of streets that are shouldered with Boundary Road and Roberts Ave. And it's quite unique. Well, not really. Some councillors will know in their areas where they've got residents and light industrial area where there can be some competing issues there, which is going on in that area. And some of the issues that was raised with me was car speeding, burnout, truck activities at unreasonable hours, noise disturbances from the local gym, lack of street lighting, etc. And these are issues that are impacting the residents in that pocket, particularly the elderly and shift workers that reside there. In recent engagement with the community there, residents had expressed to me their frustration at these issues, and they've not been adequately addressed despite efforts with raising it with the local member for Oatley, Mr. Mark Coure, last year. Local residents have told me that they feel their voices have not been heard and that these matters have not been looked into by council as they should be. So this motion is about ensuring that these concerns are actually finally given the attention they deserve, and we need to take action by investigating these issues thoroughly and considering the following potential solutions as outlined in the motion or recommendations put forward from the future from council officers in the future. These actions are essential not only for addressing the concerns of the residents, but also for restoring their faith in council's commitment to their well-being. So I urge my fellow councillors to support this motion and take the necessary steps to ensure the community needs are met. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Amber Haybar. Any other speakers on the motion? Councillor Marnie.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Something I've just noticed, I'm probably mindful for not reading the agenda too closely, was the streets mentioned, I'm pretty sure in Mortdale, not Peakhurst. So if maybe to get that verified and possibly changed with the councillor's permission.
Yeah, it's a weird crossover area. I'm happy to make the amendment that suits obviously the streets are what they are, but there is a mixture of Mortdale and Peakhurst, so.
in Peakhurst/Mortdale. Perfect. Councillor Smoothly, you happy with that? Okay, councillors, any further discussion on this? I know councillor.
Once again, Mr. Mayor, it's through the wrong forum, and the director can confirm that when it does come through council, it does take longer to get to traffic, and then the report that comes back does take longer for us to vote back on it again. And I should have mentioned previously, thank you much for your contribution to the speaker. I apologise that I didn't say that earlier.
Yeah. So Councillor Kaniarski's for the benefit of the public is more of a technical matter that Councillor Kaniarski's had a standing position on. I can refer that comment to the director to clarify, but in the essence of the motions being presented before us tonight, I think it's more to shed light on these issues that are being presented and being brought up by the community. And whilst Councillor Kaniarski is very much technically correct, it may take a little bit longer, but it's at the same time just drawing more light on these issues. So I take on board Councillor Kaniarski's standing position on this, and I'll put the motion, councillors, to you. All those in favour of the motion, please say aye. All those against, I declare that carried and noted. Councillors Kaniarski standing no on that. Next item is NM 077-24 Peakhurst Park Adventure Play Space. Councillor Ambi Hay-Pahar. Moved by Councillor Ambi Hay-Pahar, seconded by Councillor Smoothly. Councillor Ambi Hay-Pahar, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be very short on this. So the funding is more than just a financial boost. It's a crucial step in supporting the infrastructure that serves the families and young people of Riverwood, Peakhurst and Narwee. And this is something that I've heard throughout the state campaign and also more recently in the local government campaigning. So as someone who's grown up in the area, I know how much this community values accessible, high quality recreational spaces. The grant secured through the New South Wales Government's Metropolitan Green Space Program will help us design an adventure play space that reflects our community's needs and aspirations. These additions are not just about play, they're also about creating spaces where our young people can connect, grow and thrive. And I think this is a significant step forward for our community, and I strongly urge again Council to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ambi Hay-Pahar. Councillor Smoothly was a seconder. Councillor Smoothly, do you know? Any other speakers on the motion, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is Narwee Shopping Centre Economic Activation, NM 078-24. Councillor Ambi Hay-Pahar. Moved by Councillor Ambi Hay-Pahar, seconded by Councillor Jamieson. Councillor Ambi Hay-Pahar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This motion calls for the development of a comprehensive plan to collaborate with Narwee Public School, local businesses and Canterbury Bankstown Council in exploring joint initiatives for economic activation in our community. And I think that suits very well for Councillor Smoothly's motion for tonight as well, with revitalising the Narwee shopping strip. As someone who's grown up in Narwee, I know firsthand how often residents feel that this particular area has been forgotten. For too long, Narwee has not received the attention it deserves. This motion is about changing that narrative. It's about recognising the potential of Narwee and ensuring that it gets the focus and investment it needs to thrive. The proposed plan includes strategies to attract and support local businesses, such as facade improvements and economic incentives. And these are vital steps to enhance the visual appeal of our commercial area there and encourage growth. But it's also about more than just infrastructure. It's about engaging with our community by organising events and activities that bring residents together. We can increase the foot traffic and foster a sense of belonging in Nawi. Moreover, trialling markets and other pop-up events will provide a platform for our local producers and small businesses, drawing more visitors to Little Nawi and boosting our local economy. So this motion is not just about economic activation, it's about giving Nawi the attention it has long been denied and ensuring that our residents feel heard and valued. So I urge my fellow councillors to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ambiapai. Councillor Jamieson. No. Any other speakers on this motion, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. We now move on to NM 079-24, St George Police Area Command, Speed Enforcement in Peakhurst. Moved by Councillor Marnie, seconded by Councillor Jamieson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks to St George Police Area Command, following a similar motion which I put to the May Council meeting, there have been extra patrols in Forest Road, Lugano. I understand that motorists in that locality are now taking more care. I sincerely hope that deploying more patrols along the streets I've nominated tonight, which is Forest Road, Belmore Road, Isaac Street and Henry Ellison Drive, will have a significant deterrent effect, lower the rate of accidents, and best of all, avoid the truly awful physical and emotional trauma which are associated with these events. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Jamieson, do you wish to add to that? Councillors, any further speakers on this motion? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that. I'll note Councillor Koniarski's against. I declare that carried. Councillors, we now move on to NM 080-24. Congratulations to Bridget Clark and BM Tereda. Councillor Koniarski. Moved by Councillor Koniarski, seconded by Councillor Smurley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. Congratulations to the families of Bridget Clark and Bien Teresa for their outstanding efforts on being selected to represent Australia at the Paris Olympics in the rugby sevens. Congratulations to both young ladies on a great Olympics. Unfortunately, we fell short on a medal, but the experience gained, watch out, I reckon, in 4 years' time when our girls will come home with gold.
Thank you, Councillor Koniarski. Councillor Smurley. Any further speakers on this motion, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, I declare that carried. Next item is NM 081-24, reconstruction of new facility at Cars Park. Options for funding. Councillor Lansbury.
Thank you,
Moved by
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Lansbury, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bourke.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I would like to move the recommendation that appears on the business paper tonight, and I'll explain why. As we all know as councillors, there are many competing interests for our capital works budget, and over the years there have been some big scale projects in parts of the LGA, but I have to say Blakehurst Ward has not really been one of them. I've sort of been rather quiet about it, thinking that we were in anticipation of rebuilding the pool, so I haven't pushed things too hard on that. But I think it's time that remediation is well underway, and we'll be progressing with this once the business case has been presented to us from the state government. And it was always my understanding that council had agreed in relation to the memorandum of understanding put forward as a result of the Premier Chris Binns' commitment to rebuild the pool at its existing site, that council would contribute some of the money towards it. I think that's appropriate. Obviously, we were never going to be able to pay for the rebuild as a council ourselves, and I'm very grateful that the state government has made that commitment to rebuild it, and hopefully we can get some money from the feds. There is that stray $5 million that was promised by the former Prime Minister Morrison somewhere in the back cupboard somewhere. But I think it's just really important to note, councillors, that since this Georges River has been in existence, going back to when we were amalgamated, and a lot of money was thrown at Georges River, the Stronger Communities funding, for example, most of that went to the former Hurstville. Very little of it went to the former Cobra. And I remember raising that with the former general manager and asking why that was the case. And she said because Hurstville had long been neglected. I think the former Hurstville actually has acquired a lot of new infrastructure in the last few years. And if you'll bear with me, just a few things that came to mind today when I was thinking about it. We've had in the last few years the Olds Park Skate Park and Netball Court upgrade, Olds Park Premium Sporting Facility, Hurstville Golf Course has a new clubhouse, Hurstville Oval has a new pavilion, McMahon Street out here has had an upgrade, Hurstville Memorial Square upgrade, various projects at Gannons Park and Penshurst Park, including cricket facilities and football facilities. Mortdale has just had its streetscape project as well. I really think that Blakehurst Ward deserves its fair share. I think it's about time. This is the project to do it. As I said, I've sort of been very patient, thinking that I'm not going to make too many demands about a skate park here and a new amenities block here. But the only new amenities block I can think for our sporting facilities in Blakehurst, and I stand to be corrected, is the one at Renown. I can't think of another one. The others that do come to mind are not within Blakehurst Ward, and I know we don't have to operate strictly in wards, but my role as a Blakehurst Ward councillor is to advocate for my ward. The state government has committed to rebuilding this facility. We do need to contribute in some way. My motion is actually asking for the General Manager to identify where we can find some of that funding. You know, we've had projects that have been deferred, as Councillor Mort was trying to get pushed up the agenda when we're doing the budget in June. The amenities building at the Green at Coal Bay keeps getting pushed back. Whilst we see all these shiny new other facilities being developed elsewhere, I think it's quite reasonable that Blakehurst does get its fair share. Yes, it seems like a lot of money, but in the scheme of things, we're going to have this amazing new facility to service all of the LGA. It just happens to be located in its existing site. We fought, as we all know, we fought very hard during the last term of council to make sure that we did rebuild it at its existing site. Progress has been made, yet it's still well over 5 years later and we still don't have a pool there. I think it's incumbent upon us as council to actually show the will that we do want to contribute to it. And it's not really a big ask when you think about the fact that we have had all of these other things in other areas. A lot of them, sure, have come from government grant funding, and I guess you could say that a lot of the money involved in developing the pool when it is built will come from government, state government, and hopefully federal government funding as well. But all three levels of government need to contribute to this. I've thought for a long time that it shouldn't just be the responsibility of the LGA themselves to do that. We've seen other LGAs that have gone through it through different methods. Ashfield Pool did a different method. They put a levy on their rates that 75% of their rate payers, before they're amalgamated to the Inner West, were very happy to support because they could see something tangible. I don't think that's what I'm suggesting here tonight. I'm just thinking that there is money in the Capital Works budget that could be allocated over the next 3 years sensibly without burgling it from other major projects, because I wouldn't want to undermine those. But money can be found, and I rely on the expertise of our directors and our general manager to identify that, and hence I have brought this motion to you tonight, everyone, and I would hope for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lansbury. Deputy Mayor Borg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support this motion, and just clarifying that this motion is not committing the council to spending any funds at this point. It's simply calling for a report that outlines the options of where funding may come from. Unlike the former council who fought over the location of the third aquatic centre in this LGA, this council has been unanimous in our support of the rebuilding of a new aquatic facility at the site of the former Cogwell War Memorial Pool. Our council has been pushing ahead with the demolition, which is, I understand, is complete, and the remediation of the site, which is, I understand, around 70% complete, and is nearing completion in the next few months. Our environment and planning team is also well underway with the plan of management. So this council is 100% behind the reconstruction of this pool, and I support council including a contribution to the facility in our Capital Works program. We do eagerly await an update from the state government on the business case and the detailed designs that the state government is undertaking for this facility. And this council, I think, has made it clear that our commitment is to work in partnership with the state government to deliver this facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Borg. Councillors, any further discussion on this?
A couple of questions to the directors. My first question will go to the Business and Finance Director. Mr. Neil Parker. Do we have a capital works budget, a limitation to a capital works budget?
Through the mayor, so every year through budget process and the long-term financial plan, there is a limit in terms of our cash that's available. A lot of the capital projects have multiple different funding sources, so it can be more limitations of project funding as well as the limitations of what cash can be contributed to any other project. So it does need to be looked at annually and what may need to be foregone to make that funding. So yes, there are limitations in cash available.
I do have a few questions. What would you say would be an approximate idea of what would be a reasonable, considering our long-term financial plan, what would be a reasonable budget to be adopted?
It's all right, Ms. Parker, you can just stay seated and
Yeah,
answer the question. It might be,
Yeah, stay seated,
might go for a while.
because I've got about 4 questions.
I might have got the exercise, but through there is, you would say that reasonably, I think the long-term financial plan, don't quote me, but just off the top of my head, is about 45 million. We are above it, and that was highlight that we're actually above the target of where we want to be in terms of good financial management. So we are still every year trying to reduce the capital program. So we're slightly above where we'd want to be. I think we're hitting about 55 and would want to see it around the 45 annually, which is what we're still working to push projects out into future years to make sure we're within our means.
Now, having a budget over, and this is a holistic budget for 112.9 million from 24 to 26, which is about 55 million per financial year. What would you really like to see the budget to be in 26, 27 in terms of long-term financial planning?
Through the mayor, we are still looking at that 35 to 45
okay.
mil.
Now,
we're currently above it.
So there's obviously some very good reasoning why we've gone to 57.8 and very good reason why we've got to 57.8 in the 24-25 year and 55 in the 25-26 year. Would that be because we needed to do some more maintenance work?
Councillor Captions, if I can interject here, and I understand that you're asking these questions to sort of formulate a greater understanding, but in essence, I feel that the essence of the motion that's being presented by Councillor Lansbury may answer a lot of these questions in a report, in a detailed report, and it may give the council officers to present a lot of this information in a report like that. But if there's any sort of pertinent question related to the motion,
I'll leave the Director of Business and Corporate Services.
So I just wanting to sort of, yes,
I'll go to
allow.
the Director of Assets and Services. Andrew Ladd. Andrew, when did we provide that information to the state government with regards to all the, I know that we said, it says in the report December, we've got a memorandum of understanding. When did we provide the information that's required, that they needed from us?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So all of the information associated with the development of the detailed business case and the detailed designs that council had at hand. So that included the site feasibility assessments, the technical site investigations, and other detailed reports. That was all provided on the 6th of February, 2024.
6th of February, early February, March, April, May, June, July, and the full books. That's 7 months. Have you had any response from them as yet?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we have been in contact with the state on a number of occasions. I think the latest contact we had was in July. We still haven't had clear direction as to when that detailed business case will be forthcoming.
Have they given you anything?
Not at this stage.
Sketch, some pictures?
Not at this stage.
So in 7 months, they've done nothing. Okay. Let's look. I have an amendment, and I'll put it this time, and I'll read it. Could we put up my amendment, please? I'll read it while it's being put up. That on receipt of the detailed business case costing and commitment to co-fund from the New South Wales State Government and/or Federal Government. The General Manager provide a report to councillors with options for delivering 10 million in funding over the next 3 financial years towards the construction of a new aquatic facility at Cars Park. The report should include, but not limited to, options for the reprioritisation of existing capital works funding, options for allocation of additional capital works funding towards the project, impact on the long-term financial plan, and any associated service delivery funding implications, financial governance requirements for contribution above the capital expenditure guidelines threshold. That's my amendment.
So that's an amendment being proposed by councillor Catras to move it.
Councillor,
Yes, I'll put that forward. I'll put that forward to the original mover of the motion, councillor Lansbury. Do you accept that amendment? Don't accept that amendment. Councillor Catras.
I'll speak to it.
No, councillor Catras. So do you wish now to move?
Yeah,
Since it does not.
I'm moving.
It's moved by councillor Catras. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Fakara.
Thank
Councillor
you,
Catras.
Speaking
to the amendment.
I think it's really important that we understand one thing. Councillor Lansbury said we've been 5 years down the line. We've been talking about it. There's been petitions, etc., etc. And at this point in time, we don't have a business case. At this point in time, we don't have a commitment, a written commitment of how much they're going to give us, neither from the state government nor from the federal government. Now, I think it's really, and the other thing that worries me too is what does it mean when we start taking things out of our capital expenditure in terms of putting things into our capital expenditure and then finding that our long-term financial, stability, viability has been affected. Councillors, I think in this case, unless we get a detailed business case from the state government, and that doesn't look like it's going to come too soon, we're 5 years down the line and we've got nothing apart from all those reports that we actually spent big bucks on, feasibilities, etc. for 5 years. I think we must have spent nearly $500,000. I'm not sure, 400 thereabouts. And so far we've been given verbal commitment, and also some written commitment that the state government's going to support us. But we've got no business case. We don't know how much this is going to cost. It's going to, from what I hear, it's going to cost anything from $70 million to maybe $90 million. So what are we actually putting aside, and why are we going to look at options for parking, something like $10 million, without even knowing that the business case is completed, and also what the commitments are from the state and federal governments? If someone can tell me I have something in writing here that the state government's going to give us X and the federal government, then maybe we're way ahead in actually looking at this. But at this point in time, I don't think we should be wasting council officers' time in trying to do something like this without knowing what it is that we're spending it on and where it's going. And we're talking about, again, I'll repeat, all I'm asking for in this is detailed business case, the commitment from the state and federal governments, the options to be given straight after that, and we must also consider the impact on our long-term financial. And the other thing you've got to do before you start parking money away, you've actually got to get that business case to the Office of Local Government. It's said it in the report. Anything over 10% of our budget, capital expenditure budget, has to be put. A business case has to be put to the government. So unless you do this, you're going nowhere with Councillor Lansbury's motion.
Thank you, councillor Catras. Councillor Fakari. We'll wave you right. Councillors, any further discussion on this? Councillor Lansbury.
Very happily speak against it, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Well, I'm intrigued, Councillor Catras. When you've got the word of the Premier saying that he is committed to rebuilding Cars Park Pool, sometimes when somebody gives their word on something, they stick to it. You might find that a bit of surprise. But
I don't think that that's I don't believe that that's a point of order, councillor Catras, but councillor Lansbury, the floor is yours.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll continue. This amendment will only delay things even further. As I said before, we have been waiting 5 years. We've had 5 summers with no pool there. We finally got things underway when the Minns Labor government was elected in March last year. One of the first things that the new Premier had committed to was to get this moving. As anybody who's ever had anything to do with bureaucracy in state government or local government, and no disrespect intended, things move at a glacial pace. This is moving at a glacial pace. None of us are happy about it. But what you're calling for us to do now is to delay it even further. So let's sit on our hands and not do anything whilst we're waiting for the business case and other things to come back from the state government. My motion calls on the General Manager to try and identify where we could possibly contribute and make our reasonable contribution, which was very well understood for those of us who actually had those discussions with the Premier and the Minister for Sport, that it was only always going to be a very reasonable contribution for council to make. We can't just sit back and expect state and the feds to pay for it all. So I fail to see how this is a clever ploy to delay it. You were very supportive of the pool at one stage, so I'm not quite sure what this sudden turn of events is. I would hate to think that we're going to delay it even further by sitting on our hands waiting for a detailed business case, which, yes, none of us are happy about the delay on any of this. We thought that we would have it by now, but shouldn't we be able to walk and chew gum at the same time? Can't we have the state government doing their thing and council doing their thing and filling out, we're both doing our respective roles to get this pool moving? Not everybody in the community cares about the pool, clearly, but over 10,000 people signed a petition to say that they did. I cannot go anywhere at the moment without people asking me the status of the pool. And if I was to say, well, actually, council the other night resolved to just sit on our hands a little bit longer until we hear back from the state government, rather than being proactive and starting to identify where we could possibly find the funding. I'm not saying let's pull a couple of million out of Olds Park or Gallons Park or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. There are capital works projects which are less sexy, for want of a better word, things that people don't really even know that happen in the background, that sometimes we can defer because they're not sort of crucial or critical to the functioning of council. Now, to delay this is an incredibly irresponsible move, and I have to say I'm incredibly disappointed, Councillor Catras, that you would do this tonight after advocating to move the pool forward for the last 5 years. And suddenly now you've had a change of heart because the state government hasn't provided a business case. You want council to sit on our hands and not do anything for the next 6 months. Well, I, for one, think that that would be a grave mistake, and I would counsel every single one of you sitting around this table tonight to think about what you're doing. You support this motion, you're going to have to answer that to the community.
Councillors, any further speakers on this motion?
Right of reply.
Your right of reply, Councillor Catras.
Thank you, Councillor Lansbury. I understand what you're saying, and you're basically saying that we don't want any further delays on this. I understand that, but at the same time, there's a process that you have to go through, and the process is we really need to know what we're funding. That's number one. And we don't know what we're funding until we get the business case. The other thing is we really need to know what this situation, and we really need to know what the state and federal government are going to put towards it. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're parking $10 million on something that might not happen straight away, or may not happen for a long, long time. until the state and federal governments, come up with the money. This project is no less than $80 million. And I know that because those are the statistics that were given to me a few years ago. Now, it's seriously important that we understand parking $10 million out of the out of the budget means that certain other works are not going to happen, which means that you're looking at sort of a situation which could go for another 5 years. So I do believe it's important that we take into consideration it's not just about delaying, it's about following proper procedure. And proper procedure means that we have to have a business case, we have to find out what the state and federal government are prepared to provide, and based on that, then the general manager will have a look at options. But if they're not prepared, if they're only prepared to give us 50 million, where's the rest going to come from? And we've got 10 million parked. Where's the rest going to come from? Maybe you can answer that. Obviously, I don't believe that it would be wise to do a rates increase. I don't think that would work because we're talking, if we get 30 from state and 30 from federal, 40 from state, 20 from federal, we're talking another $30 million. Let's just hope that the new council doesn't decide to put that as a rate rise.
That was Councillor Catrus's right of reply. Councillors, I now put the amended motion forward to you, which was moved by Councillor Catrus and seconded. Sorry, Councillor Wang, I've already taken the right of reply. Unless it's a question, I can't take it.
Can I ask a question?
A question I can take.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my question is this: the $10 million, maybe through you to the director. What does the $10 million come from? I cannot see it from the motion. The number. Yeah.
Are you talking about the specific number? Where the $10 million come from? That's to the mover and the seconder where they got that $10 million figure from. So.
I posed that question to Councillor Lansbury.
Councillor Lansbury.
Oh, I've had discussions with the Office of the Premier, and that was a figure that was suggested to me that Council may be willing to contribute based on discussions that has been had with Council. Obviously not since you've been having those discussions, Councillor Catrus, and that's the information that I've been given.
I hope that satisfies your question, Councillor Wang.
Yes.
Councillors, again, I'll put the motion now. Well, the amendment, sorry, that was proposed by Councillor Catrus and seconded by Councillor Ficarra. To you, you were voting on whether to accept this amendment and turn it into the motion. So I'll put that forward. Councillors, all those in favour say aye. All those against? I'll take a division on that.
Your vote, please, Mr. Mayor.
I vote for the amendment.
Madam Deputy Mayor.
Against.
Councillor Amby Haberhart.
Against.
Councillor Ficarra.
For.
Councillor Jamieson.
Against.
Councillor Catrus.
For.
Councillor Kinjarski.
For.
Councillor Lansbury.
Against.
Councillor Liu.
For.
Councillor Marnie.
Against.
Councillor Mort.
Against.
Councillor Smerdley.
For.
Councillor Stratokopoulos.
For.
Councillor Sinington.
For.
Councillor Wang.
Against.
8 votes.
I have a point of order, Mr. Mayor. Sorry. I cannot take shame on you from Councillor Lansbury across the room. So I'd rather she actually stuck to her job and remain a councillor talking about whatever.
I missed that, Councillor Catrus, so.
I saw.
Okay, I missed it, so I can't take that. now.
8 votes
sorry.
for the amendment, 7 votes against.
So I declare the amendment carried, which now becomes the motion, councillors. Councillor Catras, since it is your motion, do you wish to speak further on this motion? Any other speakers on this motion? I might say a few words, councillors. Councillors, considering what was being presented, and I can see the intent of both councillors wanting to, I guess, follow process, but also try and get ahead of the procedures that are happening before us in trying to deliver this pool in the quickest time possible. If I can assure the chamber and assure the broader community on their feelings and passion to see this pool rebuilt at its current site. Since stepping into the role of mayor in September last year, I have had numerous discussions with both the Premier's office and also with the Minister for Sports office, Minister Camper, on this. In essence, it was always known that there would be some form of financial contribution from council to go towards this pool. This is a major capital works program that would be to the benefit of our community, and it was only quite normal that council would provide some sort of financial contribution in delivering this pool. In essence, the state government, through discussions, indicated their ability to deal with this project in a far more expedited time frame because of the resources that they have through the Office of Sport, and also with the resources that they have through technical experts and also people within their departments that have governed very large projects. In essence, we started off with the MOU that we presented to the state government, that we approached this project as a co-project with them, leading the way in utilising the resources that they have as a state government to then deliver a detailed business case, detailed design and consent for delivering a aquatic facility for our residents, meeting their needs for 2036. I think that Councillor Catras's motion encapsulates the correct procedures that need to be undertaken to ensure that we are following the correct processes in how to deliver, one, the project that is the aquatic facility, but also making sure that when we are wanting to commit funds through our capital works programs, that we have all the necessary information before us to ensure that any decisions that any future term of council makes, they make with all the knowledge there in front of them. I think that whilst Councillor Lansbury did articulate very well that this gives us an opportunity to get ahead of the project and start looking at options of where we can get $10 million to fund such a pool, I think has all the right intentions. However, what I think is best is that we wait for that information that is being undertaken by the state government at this current point in time, and the discussions that both the Premier and the Minister are having with federal colleagues on what funding can be provided by the feds on this project comes to fruition, and then that information is then provided to councillors who I believe will most definitely consider everything before them and then make a decision on how to allocate X amount of funds towards such a project that then has to be funded, whether the directors or the general manager provide a report then on how that money is funded will be a decision for them to make. So it is on that grounds that I'm very happy and comfortable in supporting Councillor Catras's motion as the correct procedure moving forward. And I encourage you to support this motion. Councillors, any further discussion on this? Councillor Catras, right a reply? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I'll take a division on that again. I vote for the motion.
Madam Deputy Mayor.
For.
Councillor Amber Capehart.
Against.
Councillor Ficarra.
For.
Councillor Jamieson.
For.
Councillor Catras.
For.
Councillor Kinjarski.
For.
Councillor Lansbury.
Against.
Councillor Lou.
For.
Councillor Marnie.
Against.
Councillor Mort.
For.
Councillor Smerdley.
For.
Councillor Stratokopoulos.
For.
Councillor Symington.
For.
Councillor Wang.
For.
12 votes for.
I declare the motion carried. We now move on to questions with notice. The first question with notice I have is 023-24 status of transport safety review for Hurstville Education Precinct. I'll take further questions. Do you have any further questions, Councillor Wang? There being none, I'll move on to question with notice 024-24 enforcement procedures Hillcrest Avenue, Hurstville. Deputy Mayor Borg, any further questions? No further questions. Question with notice 025-24 status of Beverly Hills Master Planning proposal for 407 to 511 King George's Road, Beverly Hills. Any further questions, Councillor Wang? None. Question with notice 026-24 unauthorised selling of goods on council's footpath. Any further questions, Councillor Lou? No further questions, Councillor Lou. Next one is question with notice 027-24 roles and responsibilities for bus stops within the LGA. Councillor Wang, no further questions. Questions with no notice. Question with notice 004-24. Questions asked at the Finance and Governance Committee meeting held on the 12th of August 2024. Councillor Symington, no further questions. There being no further items on the agenda, I declare the meeting closed at 8:32 p.m. Thank you, councillors, and thank you, members of the public, for attending tonight.